back in the good old days of the traditional publishing model, we'd see the hardback would come out, 6 months to a year before the paperback. Is one of the models that we're looking at the ebook coming out before the paperback, and then, is the ebook in some ways replacing the hardback, but in some ways, also becoming its own entity as well?
The only thing that, in children's books, which is what I work on, and YA, we've never really done hardbacks. And in fact, sometimes when we experiment with them, we find people will say, oh, I'm not picking that up, it's obviously expensive because it's a hardback. So, and the market, in the UK has changed, they're moving away from hardbacks. The only thing we still do a hardback and a paperback for is picture books, and people still want, that's an area where people really want that experience of having a beautiful book. I was talking to an agent last night, and we were talking about kind of simultaneous ebook releases, and I think that's where we're at in Australia, is that almost every publisher has the ebook released simultaneously. I think there's only one publisher in Australia now who, from what I heard last night, who does kind of want to wait a while. But it just makes sense to do them together because you have, all of your marketing and your publicity and your campaigns happening at that time, so there's not much point in waiting. But in terms of doing ebooks first, we are, with the new romance imprints and that kind of thing, they'll be digital first, and then if one of those becomes successful, hugely successful, there's an option then to do a print edition as well, which I think is a bit...
That's an outlet. So we do some of our books in print on demand, which is essentially the books themselves look very, very similar, or almost identical to normal print books, but they're only printed as people order them online. And we don't do every book of ours in print on demand, but when we do, it's oftentimes we put the print version out after the book. So it depends. It depends very much on the books. And because we can publish so quickly, we'll often see a niche. Like, for example, our post-apocalyptic romantic erotica.
Are you writing that down?
That we put out last year.
You saw me say erotica and they all laughed and you wanted to cash in on that.
Post-apocalyptic, it's in a zombie apocalypse. So we saw the zombies and the erotica thing together, and we thought, get that story out there. So we did. But the print books didn't come out till...
We did that 2 years ago. Yeah. we did lesbian zombies 2 years ago.
But nonetheless, you get the ebooks out. We got the ebooks out within 2 months, I think it was. And then the print books didn't come out until January, February. So that just depends. It's always dependent on sales, and also dependent on whether or not you think it's a type of book that will work in print, or a type of book that will work just in ink. And I think that should be how it is. You should be thinking on a book-by-book basis, because the market's very big.